Steve Jobs once rightly said that your time is limited. So stop wasting living someone else's life. Well, that means we have to start living our own life to its fullest. Now, if I have to ask you, do you feel you are living your life to your fullest? Do you feel you are utilizing your time in its best way possible to be content and successful in life? And by successful, I don't mean getting in yet another rat race of life and chasing unrealistic dreams, but are you spending time on things that you truly enjoy and feel happy about? But the problem is, life is constantly bombarding us with its own flavors of distractions and tasks that we find boring and not enjoyable. Well, that is where this episode is going to be extremely valuable to you, because we are going to be learning how to manage time more effectively on things that we don't enjoy so that we can optimize our time on things that we actually enjoy doing. Today, I'm in conversation with Chris Croft, all the way from England. Chris has been an executive and a management coach for past 20 years. If you would have used products like LinkedIn Learning or Lynda, you would have absolutely stumbled upon any of his courses or videos because they are just so brilliant and rich in nature. Today, we'll be talking about how to manage time more effectively to be successful in life. Mr. Chris Croft, it is such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the show today.
It's great to be here. I'm just pleased to be asked, really. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I like to call you as one of the most famous celebrities on LinkedIn Learning, or Lynda as many people might know it, because if anyone has ever used these two products, they have to have stumbled upon your videos.
I've got so many on there, haven't I? I know.
and the best part is they're all excellent and a wonderful content, rich of information, and that is one of the reasons why I have you on the show today. So Chris, you have been a management coach for past 20 years?
Yeah, that's right. For 20 years, I've been driving around mostly England, teaching groups of people about time management and project management. Recently, it's been more on Zoom than on driving around. But yeah, teaching people about stuff. I started out as an engineer and a manager, but then I went into training. I much prefer training to managing. I mean, managing people is a tough job, and you don't get a lot of thanks for it. Whereas training is really nice because people thank you every day for stuff that you've told them. It's the best job in the world, I think, training. I love it.
And that is exactly one of the reasons why I have you with me today, because the topic that we are going to be talking about, I don't think there is any better person suited than you. And that is about managing our time more effectively. I think as much as people say we have a lot of time in our life, but it is extremely important to learn how to manage it, be more effective, and leverage that skill to be successful in our careers and help us achieve our goals and stuff. So, Chris, to start us off with, one thing which I wanted to understand, and it might sound a very bizarre question, but why do people procrastinate? I've always been very curious. Why is, or for that matter, why is procrastination so fun?
Why is it so fun? Well, I'm going to write the occasional thing on my whiteboard as well, by the way.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Helps me think as well. And I would say the reason we procrastinate deep down is because we have two parts to our brain, the adult and the child. And, some people have more adult and some people have more child.
Yes.
I kind of wish I had more child, really. I think I'd have more fun. I sometimes think I'm too sensible. When I'm at a party, I'm thinking I better not eat that. It's not very good. I better not drink too much. Where some of my friends are just in there, way, and but we do have these two parts to our brain. And so whenever you've got to do something you don't really want to do, your adult is saying, I really should write that college assignment, and the child is going, no, leave it till tomorrow. And we have these two parts fighting in our heads. I suppose it's because of evolution, because when we were animals, we were completely child. Like I've got a dog who is completely child. The dog will just eat the food. The dog never thinks, I shouldn't do that. The dog just does it. But now humans have got this extra layer, this adult layer on top, the self-conscious, self-aware layer. And so I think we have a battle always in our mind between the child that doesn't want to do something and then the adult that is saying, you really should do it. So, the child sort of suffers from things like laziness. And in fact, one of my favorite books, The Road Less Traveled, he says that laziness is the biggest problem. Laziness is the root of every problem we have. And certainly when you're trying to be good at time management, laziness is always there. Shall I do what I ought to do today, or shall I put it off? But of course, we also have fears in our child. And, so fear of failure, for example, is a big reason we put things off. We procrastinate because we think, well, what if it goes badly? What if it goes wrong? I'll just avoid even I won't make that phone call to that customer because what if it goes badly? What if they're horrible to me? And so I think it's the fears that we have and the laziness that we have in our child that make us put things off. And our job as adults is to try to overcome those things and say, no, I'm going to have self-discipline and I'm going to do the things I don't want to do because it'll be better for me in the long run. And I think that's what's going on when we procrastinate. And once you realize that, you can start to play games with your child and you can say, well, after I've done this, I'll have some chocolate. And then your child goes, oh, all right, then do the phone call. Or you can say, well, I'll just do the first part. All I'll do is I'll write the guy's number down on a piece of paper. I won't actually phone him. And the child goes, well, yeah, I could do that. So, and then once you got the number, it's much easier to do the call. So I think we can trick our child into doing things. So there are ways to overcome procrastination, but I think that's the root of it. To answer your question, it's because our brain is in two parts.
In two
That's
parts.
where it all starts.
Wonderful. I love the analogy that you have drawn right behind you, the adult and the child. And the truth is that, yes, as humans, we constantly face that battle in our minds of the adult and the child. And they are fighting each other amongst them. One says we should be doing, one says, oh, let it do later on, right? Let's do it a little bit later. Lovely. I think that's a wonderful way to put it and understand procrastination. And I like how subtly you've also answered how to avoid procrastination, and that is fool that inner child.
Yes.
Excellent.
I was going to say, but it does mean that we have to do things we don't always want to do.
Yeah.
As part of time management, and
Right.
that can be a problem.
Right.
And I worried for years about whether time management was a bit negative. And when we were talking about this beforehand, you were saying about that as well. Is it sometimes a subject where you're just trying to, have to do things that are scary all the time? And, are you a slave to your job's to-do lists? And why not have more fun? And why not at least have some more fun in the child mode?
Okay.
And I actually think that the answer to that is because there are really two things going on here. There's why are we doing time management and how we do time management. Okay. And what is the objective of time management? Because it's not just to have lists and be organized, because why would you want to do that? And I think in the end, the objective of time management, I would like to suggest, is to maximize the time you spend on the good stuff. Okay, I'll just put maximum good on here for the sake of shorthand. So to maximize the time on things that are important to you, and that might be time with your family, or it might be doing things you enjoy or having fun or whatever. It might be making money, but I don't think money is that important, actually. I think other things are more important. As you get older, you realize time's more important than money. But because the time's running out as you get older, but the money's still there, but the time is running out. So, but to maximize whatever it is that you want to spend your time on, that's the objective of time management. But if you think, how could you do that? The only way you can do it is to minimize the bad stuff, or minimize the stuff that you don't really want to be doing.
Okay.
And so the how of time management, a lot of it is, is saying no to stuff, or forcing yourself to do things you don't always want to do, in order to have more time for the things that you want to do. So you have to force yourself to write that college assignment because you want to get the qualification and end up doing a job that you find really rewarding. So you have to have that discipline in the short term to have what you want to have later on.
Okay.
And so I do think there is a certain amount of hard work in time management, but it's worth it because in the end, you can have a happier life because, happiness is what it's all about in the end, I would say.
Beautiful. I love the paradigm shift that you did in there. Time management is about making sure that you do get rid and get out of the way all the stuff that you don't enjoy so that you can focus on things that you can enjoy. And that is how, so if I understand it correctly, time management, it need not be those scary calendars, jam-packed and to-do lists and stuff. It can be fun.
Yes, you have to have the calendars. I think you do have to do the work.
Okay.
You have to force your child to not procrastinate. But the objective is fun. And I think a lot of books on time management, they talk about maximizing the amount you achieve. And they go, oh, achieve, achieve, achieve. And I think they forget enjoy. And I think it's important to have, personal goals of what you want to achieve, but also what you like doing that you want to do more of.
True.
Because if you're always thinking about achievement, then you might never have any fun. And so obviously some things you want to achieve are things that you will enjoy doing anyway. And maybe you can enjoy the process of getting there.
Yes.
But I think, so I think of it as walking up a mountain, and you ideally you would enjoy going up the mountain as well as enjoying the view from the top. Because if you don't enjoy the process of going up the mountain, but you like the view when you get there, then, most of your life is walking up the mountain. And it's not worth it if you don't enjoy it just for the view from the top. So you've got to enjoy the process and the arrival, I think.
No,
it's quite a philosophical subject, this, isn't it?
This is wonderful.
Thinking about it. So I absolutely think you should have goals for both. And some people don't have enjoyment goals. They only have achievement goals. And then it just all becomes a bit hard work. And then they forget to enjoy even the achievement part. And then there's no fun at all in any of it. And if it doesn't make you happy, then why are you doing it? It has to make you happy.
Yeah. And the beauty in here is that journey is as important as the destination.
I don't know if you've seen, there's a thing called IKIGAI. IKIGAI, which is Japanese for reason for being. So it's like to find your life purpose.
Lovely.
You can Google IKIGAI, but what they say in there is that you want to find the objective of these, the intersection of all four of these circles. And they say you should start with what you enjoy doing.
So can you, if you don't mind, can you explain all these individual circles?
Yeah. So the first circle is to find what you love.
Okay.
What do you love doing? And you probably already know that. So, for example, I love music, and I even play the saxophone badly, but I love music. But then the next thing is to find out what you're good at. What are you a bit of a star at? So you see, already the saxophone has failed for me because I love it, but I'm not very good at it.
Okay.
So you've got to find things you love doing and you're good at. And then the third bit, which people often forget, is then you have to find something that you love, you're good at, which makes a difference. So it has to make a difference to other people.
Wonderful.
And I always felt when I was, when I was an engineer, I just wasn't very good at it. When I was a manager, I think I was quite a good manager, but I always felt I wasn't making enough of a difference as a manager. I found it frustrating because always you have a boss and there's always politics, and it's just really hard to, I always thought when I was a boss, I could really change the company I was working for. Actually, you always find the more senior you get, the harder it is to get anything done, actually.
For sure.
You make a small difference to a big thing. Whereas if you're just running a training course, you make a big difference to a small thing because it's you and you're doing it.
True.
And so I found that making a difference didn't really happen when I was a manager. Okay. I always felt if I go one more level up, I could make a difference, and I could never get there. But if you can find something which you love and you're good at and which makes a difference, then you will get paid for it. And so, because ideally you want to earn a living doing whatever this may be.
Absolutely.
And some people just say the ideal job is the 1, 2, and 4. So some people say the ideal job is something you love, something you're good at, and something you can get paid for. But I actually think you have to make a difference as well to people. because
Totally.
why will they pay you if you're not making a difference?
Lovely.
So, you were talking about my videos on LinkedIn Learning, and I love making those, and I think I'm good at them.
Yes.
But the main thing is they make a difference to other
Totally.
people.
Totally.
And therefore I get paid for making them, and that's great as well. But the money must be last. If you start thinking, how can I make money?
Yeah.
That's not the place to start. You have to think, what do I like doing and that I'm good at and makes a difference? And if you do those three, then the money will follow. But
Excellent.
money and possibly fame, and maybe fame is in here as well. I mean, but it has to be last. It mustn't be what you start out trying to get. I would say keep looking, keep thinking about it, and keep searching, keep trying to find your ikigai. That's the answer.
Excellent. It reminds me of the quote from Steve Jobs: "Don't settle until you find your sweet spot."
Yes, don't
Yes.
settle. Yeah, he's
Don't
absolutely
settle.
right. What a guy, what a legend. Yeah.
Yes. Excellent, Chris. This is some great information. And now, for time management, right? Now, one thing which I feel that when we listen to the word time management, the another word that comes to our mind directly is prioritization. Okay. So now here's my problem personally. I feel anything that comes on my plate is high priority. That I need to get on it right now. I need to get something done right now. So if I have to ask you, how can we better prioritize our tasks? Do you have a framework or anything for that?
I've got some thoughts on that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. You probably feel that everything is a high priority because you're a really nice guy and you care about your customers. And so if they want it, you think it's a priority. But really, you should probably be a bit more selfish and think, how much do I want it?
Okay.
Years ago, I realized that my life had gradually been stolen from me by everybody else. And I found that, I was having to spend 10% of my time helping them and 10% doing what they wanted and 10% working for my boss and for all these customers. And of course, if 10 people take 10% of your time, they've taken all of your time.
All of your time. Yeah.
And they've taken all of your life. Your life is only time. And I remember thinking, hang on a minute, I'm not doing anything I want to do anymore. And that was when I started to sort of try to reclaim my life and start to say no to some more things and get a bit more assertive about it. So I think the first thing to do with important is it important to me? Because obviously it's important to you. So for example, you getting me to do this talk on your show is important to you. You want to get me to do this talk. But I've got to think, do I want to do it? Is it important to me to do this talk? Now, actually, it is. So that's why I'm here doing it, because I like doing talks like this. I enjoy it, and I get a sense of achievement. And if I make a difference to some of the viewers, then that's great, So luckily, it is important. So here we both are doing it. But I could have said, no, it's not important to me. I'm not doing it. And so, but the starting point should be, is it important to me? And important is quite a difficult thing to think about, because important really comes down to your values and just how you feel about something. And I think the key thing to realize with importance is it's not the same as you must do it. Okay, so if I must do something, that's not the same as important.
So you're saying that urgency is not importance.
Well, let me come to urgency in a minute.
Okay.
Because urgency is another thing.
Oh, it's a different thing. Okay.
Yeah, but so take, for example, buying food, right? You must buy food, because if you don't, you will starve. So let's say you must buy food, but does that mean that it's important? And I would say no, it doesn't, because my definition of importance is how long you spend on it, or how long you want to spend. Is it something? So, for example, do you have a life goal to spend as much time as possible in the supermarket?
No.
Because probably not. Or another way of thinking about it is, would you miss it if it was gone? If you were told, sorry, Snehal, but from now on, all your food will just be automatically delivered via the internet. It's just going to appear in your kitchen and you don't have to go to the shops ever again. Would you think, I used to enjoy going around the supermarket? Now, You might do if you're a chef and you love choosing ingredients, fine. But most of us, we would think, well, I wouldn't miss it. And like you have to fill up your car with petrol. But if you never had to fill your car up again, once you get an electric car and you just plug it in, are you going to miss putting the petrol in your car? Probably not. No. So we have to do these things. And we have to, clean our house. We have to wash up and all these things, but it doesn't mean they're important.
Okay.
So, we wouldn't miss washing up if we, it's not our life goal to maximize. So what my tests for importance are, is it a life goal that you've got and would you miss it? And so the point about all this is that once you realize that things like buying food and washing up are not actually important, then you can think, how can I minimize the time? How can I spend less time on food shopping? Okay. Maybe I can go less often. Maybe I can buy some of it from the internet. Maybe I can get a friend to do my shopping while they do theirs and pay them a little bit. Or maybe I can spend less time in the supermarket by having a very efficient system or whatever. I can start to think about how I can minimize it because we already talked about minimizing the bad stuff, didn't we? And basically, if it's just a must do that's not important, our objective is then, how can we minimize it? And once you realize that almost everything is not important, then there's loads of scope for minimizing all of that. So you can have more time playing the saxophone or doing whatever it is you do want to do.
Right.
So playing the saxophone is more important than buying food for me.
Okay, so there's a difference between the tasks that are must do and the tasks that are important, and must do tasks are not necessarily important.
No,
like
don't confuse it.
I hate doing laundry and I hate doing dishes, and every weekend majority of my Saturday and Sundays are just gone in there, and I would rather spend it in a much more productive way, like talking to people like you.
So you need to find a way to spend less time doing.
So we need to find a way to minimize that part that we do not enjoy. Is what I understand. Is that right?
Yeah.
I like the two things that you have mentioned, right? If you're going to achieve something and if you're going to enjoy it, it will be important for you.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Achieve and enjoy.
Achieve and enjoy. And that's the way to think about it.
Yeah. And by the way, while we're just on achieve and enjoy, most people's idea, that their sort of plan for their life is achieve at work, enjoy at home. Okay. That's their plan.
Okay.
So they've just got achieve at work, enjoy at home. But you know what I'm going to say, which is that I think you should enjoy your work as well.
Yes.
And never settle. The search must go on for a job you enjoy. And it's out there somewhere. You can, I didn't really enjoy being an engineer. I didn't really enjoy being a manager, but I love doing training. So the search must go on. So you've got to enjoy your work, but also achieving outside work, achieving at home and in your personal life is important too. Brilliant. Your achievement shouldn't all be work-based.
Brilliant. So there has to be a combination of achievement and enjoyment, whichever task you do.
Yes. And I would have a little 2x2, achieve and enjoy at home and at work.
Okay.
And make sure you've got goals in all four of those boxes.
Excellent. Lovely. This is just an excellent framework. And, it helps our brain and our mind also to sort so many things out. Now we can easily answer the no, I don't think I need to do this right now. So now the next topic, which I think I misunderstood before, but I want to touch upon again a little bit, that is the urgency of tasks. Right? Sometimes the tasks are important, but should we do them right now? Like even the must-do tasks, I think even they fall in that same category. That do we have to do it like right now? So how do we distinguish between like important tasks and urgent tasks and stuff?
Well, some people are slaves to the urgent. So some people just do the most urgent thing first.
Yeah.
And urgency is connected with when you have to do it.
Yes.
So, at the moment, we're filming this a little bit before Christmas. So at the moment, Christmas cards, for example, and Christmas presents are very urgent. We have to quickly do them because Christmas is coming. But if you're watching this in January, then Christmas cards and Christmas presents are not urgent at all. You've got a whole year before you do them again. So urgency is really just a measure of how long you've got till you have to do it.
Beautiful.
But the problem is, if you do things in order of urgency, there's a category which you will never do, which is things that are important but not urgent. So for example, you know, I should probably do some more exercise and get fit, right? And getting fit is important. Looking after your health is important, but it's not urgent. I don't
Yeah.
have to get fit today. I
Right.
can leave it. I can leave it. I can leave it. And, you know, obviously if I had to run a marathon in next month, then it would be urgent, but I haven't. So, so it's not urgent. And so if I just do the most urgent things first, I'll never get round to getting fit or planning my future, you know, planning my future career or something. I'll never do that because I can always put it off. And self-development, generally, you can always put off because it's important, but it's not urgent. So we mustn't only just do urgent things. But if you ignore the urgent things and only do the important things, then you get into trouble with other people because you'll miss deadlines and you'll end up, you know, not sending a Christmas card to your mum, and that will be bad or whatever. So basically we have to do a mixture, and every day you should do something urgent and something important.
Okay.
Or at least you'll probably do about 10 urgent things every day, but always try to do at least one important thing every day.
Beautiful, Chris. This is such well explained concepts. Figure out your urgent tasks, figure out your important tasks, have a good balance of things, do tasks that are important as well as urgent. Don't go on either side of the spectrum, otherwise you will be in trouble.
Yes, because the important ones get you towards your goals, whereas the urgent ones just stop you getting into trouble with other people.
Bingo.
And it's a mixture of you and other people, all of this, isn't it?
Bingo. Lovely. So now, shifting gears a little bit. Now, as much as what you have some great information right behind you on your whiteboard, where we have important tasks, urgent tasks, and like a lot of different things. But I want to talk about something extremely important that I think everyone in our world faces, and that is distractions. In the world of social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and binge watching Netflix shows, how can one avoid distractions so that we can focus on what you have behind you, that is the important, urgent, and other framework of things? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, particularly your child wants to be distracted. Your child loves to just play on social media and, you know, do a bit of binge watching. Yeah. I think there are probably two answers I would give to this.
Okay.
And one of them is self-discipline starts with goals. So if you've got very clear goals, I realized this when I went to see a talk by an Olympic athlete. He was talking about the training he has to do. And I was thinking, he's so disciplined. You know, if it was me, I would never do that much training every day. But it's because he's thinking about the gold medal. He's thinking, I have to get that gold medal, so I have to do the training. And so his discipline comes from having goals. Whereas if he just thought, I probably should do a bit more exercise, then a bit like me, you know, he's probably not going to do very much exercise because there's no reason to, really.
Right.
So I think everything starts with goals. And if you've got a reason, then you'll be more disciplined. So I think that's the first thing, you know, fill in those, what do I want to do at home and at work, and what do I like doing at home and at work that I want to do more of? The other way to be more disciplined is just habits, I think, because we are creatures of habit. So if you say, you know, every morning when I get up, I'll go for a very short run and then I'll have my breakfast. And that's what I'll do every day.
Okay.
As soon as you've done that for a week or two, it becomes a habit, and then you don't question it. You know, the first time you think, what am I doing? I could be in bed. Why am I out running?
Yeah.
But then it becomes a habit, and then you just don't even think about it. It's just what you do. So I think routine, goals and routine, I would say, are where self-discipline comes from.
Wonderful. So now the next question that I wanted to ask you, Chris, is I know you have coached and managed, mentored to thousands of people, like, you know, a lot of people out there. And you have seen different data points. You have seen people with different calibers, skills, and everything. Now, I wanted to ask you, do you feel, from what you have learned all of these years, do you feel time management truly helps you in being successful, achieving your goals and stuff? Is it an extremely important skill that we should learn?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I've been trying to work out what the qualities are for a successful person, and it's things like self-discipline, which is part of time management. I mean, self-discipline is really a word for, do you do the things you should do? You know, do
Right.
you spend time on the things you should spend time on?
Right.
So self-discipline almost is part of time management.
Okay. Okay.
And then also successful people tend to have goals,
Okay.
which is also part of time management. And the other thing about successful people is they tend to be very organized. You know, if you watch a program on anybody, I watched a program on Richard Branson recently,
Mm-hmm.
and all the time he had this little pad he would get out and he would write things down. He'd have an idea, he'd write it down.
Oh,
And
wow.
then he'd be talking to somebody and they would promise they would do something. He'd go, okay. And he'd make a little note. And I thought that's really interesting that Richard Branson is writing everything down, and he'll delegate it later probably to somebody else to check
Yeah.
up and make it happen. But he's capturing all his thoughts, but he's writing everything down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another part of time management, because you can't hold things in your head. It's too hard. Your head, you can't be creative if you have half finished things in your head.
Yep.
So it's really important to write everything down. And even this talk, I'm writing stuff down to kind of get it out of my head onto there, because then I can concentrate on your next question. And so I think writing stuff down is really important. And
It
so
helps.
I think, yeah, everything in the end comes down to time management, because your life is only time. And what are you going to do with it? And really, every morning you get up, there's two levers you can pull.
Yeah.
There's the money lever and the time lever. So there's how you spend your money,
Yeah.
and that's how you spend your time. And the money lever is actually really small, just a little lever, because most of us haven't got very much money, because it's all been spent on our house and our car and food and diamonds for our wife or whatever it might be. And so in the end, there's only a bit of money, and how you spend that money doesn't really make much difference to what happens to you.
Yeah.
You know, whether you get a nice new shirt or something, it doesn't really matter.
It does.
And the other lever, the time lever, is huge. And so how are you going to spend your time today?
Right.
That has a huge effect on what will happen to you today and in the future. So the time lever it's your biggest resource by far. And how you spend your time is how you spend your life. So yeah, I think successful people have to be good at time management. I think, you know, however talented they are, they won't be successful unless they're organized.
Beautiful.
It's a fundamental skill, isn't it? And the good news is you can learn it. You know, it's not that complicated.
Yes, it's not something that you have to be born with. We can learn something. Can I ask you? I know you mentioned life is time, and I want to ask you a little bit more of a philosophical question, which might sound a little bit counterintuitive to time management. They say you should live in the moment. They say live in the moment. Don't worry too much. Don't plan too much. Just enjoy what you have right now, because this is what you have. How does that go with time management?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because happiness is in the present, isn't it?
Yes.
And most negative emotions tend to be in the past or the future. So the past is like regret and guilt and all that, and perhaps sorrow. And the future has things like worry and fear and stuff. And whereas happiness is just in the present.
Yeah.
And so it's true. If we want to maximize our happiness, which is the most important thing, that's the point of everything, really. Why do anything if it doesn't make you happy? Then we do need to live in the present. But unfortunately, you know, we have to do a certain amount of the past and the future. I actually think you can absolutely minimize the past, because it's gone and you can't change it. And there's no point in harking back to the past.
Okay.
You can learn from the past, of course, but that's all. But I think the main dilemma of time management is the present and the future, and how we split the time between the present and the future in order to maximize our happiness.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to write some little numbers up here, because I think if you look at the present and the future, and how much fun you have in these, right? If you go for 100% fun in the present, then the problem is the future will probably be zero, because, you know, you'll run out of money and you won't have planned ahead. And in fact, there was this guy who got a letter from the National Health Service, and it said, we're really, really sorry, but you've got a terrible illness and you've only got 6 months to live. This is a true story. And what did he do with 6 months left to live? Most of his money to his friends. And he told his boss that he was leaving his job, and he didn't bother to maintain his car or anything, because he only had 6 months left to live. And then after about 3 months, he got this letter from the National Health Service saying, we're really sorry, but we made a mistake and we got your blood mixed up with somebody else's or something, and you're fine. You're going to be fine. And he was like, no, I've given away all my money and I've resigned my job. And he's trying to sue the National Health Service because he's got a life he didn't expect to have.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really interesting, because you can't live just for the present and disregard the future. Unless you've got 6 months to live, then okay. But for the rest of us, we might live for another 50 years or something. So we have to plan ahead. You have to put money into your pension and all that sort of thing, don't you? So it's very dangerous to only live for the present, and you will have fun for a short time, but it's not sustainable. So another option that I would propose, and this is really time management, is that if you have, let's say, and this is how much fun we're having, remember, if you have, let's say, 30% fun now, so you have, a bit of fun now, then in the future, you might be able to have 80%. Because, you might be able to achieve more, which will be great, but also you'll be able to achieve some of your enjoyment goals. And then when you retire, you might be able to retire a bit early, and you might be able to have a really great life when you retire. But even before you retire, your life should improve if you're doing the things that may be a little bit difficult now. So that 70% of not fun should pay off in terms of having more fun in the future. One more number I want to put on here, which is, what if you go for 100? What if you go for 0% fun now, in order to absolutely maximize the future, and you just work really hard? You're totally focused, no time for fun. But I think the risk is that the future may never come. And even if it was 100%, you've still had less fun than if you're doing what I'm recommending of 30 plus 80. And of course, quite possibly you'll just work and work and work. So I have friends who do really demanding jobs, and they say, oh, it's going to be okay because one day I'll retire and I'll be rich by then. And I'm thinking, yeah, but you're using up your whole life. And how do you know you're ever going to get there? You know? And what if they don't sell their company off for millions and they end up not achieving it? That would be terrible. So I'm thinking, 30, maybe 50% fun, or 60 or 70 even now. And then even more in the future. So I think time management is about getting that balance and having
good balance
fun now and more fun in the future. And you definitely don't want to go for 100% or zero. And I know people who are doing both of those plans, but it's not a good plan. I'm sure of it.
Okay. So the key here is that let's minimize what our past is, because we are not going to get our past back. We can learn something to make sure our present and the future is good. For present and future, the key is that we have to balance our fun. If you live in the moment, allocate your time. Of course, going on either side of the spectrum, it is not going to help. But yeah, if it is you're having 30% fun right now, then 70% leave it in future. But find that balance is the key.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Lovely. So Chris, this is excellent. And now coming to the last segment of this interview, this show is called It's Not That Complicated. And the idea is that we take such broad topics and make it simple for people to understand, and talk to experts like you who can break down things for us. So if I have to ask you, what are some 3 CTAs, some 3 call to actions that you recommend that people can start doing today, like our viewers can start doing today, to manage their time more effectively and efficiently to be more successful in life? What would you say?
My top 3. Well, I'll have 1 we've talked about already and 2 that I haven't said. Okay. So the one I would talked about already is write your goals down.
Write your goals down.
Yeah. What do you want to? And I would do a little 2x2: achieve and enjoy at home and at work. So really think about what do you want to do next year and in 5 years' time. What do you want your ideal life like? And the goals may include IKIGAI, of what you love doing and what are you good at and make a difference. How can you make a difference? So really think hard about your goals. I know that's difficult, but at least make a start.
Yeah.
And maybe talk to somebody else. If you live with a partner, talk about, what your goals could be and what theirs are, and have you got any joint goals? But, somebody who you really trust to help you.
Beautiful.
So that's the first thing. Absolutely, you must write. Writing down my goals was the most the most influencing thing I've ever done in terms of the effect it's had on my life. Had a huge effect. And the number of things I've written down which have then come true, just because you've set your sat nav and you've been a bit more disciplined. So I can't recommend that enough. And it costs nothing. It doesn't take very long. You know, why would you not? Become one of the 5% of people who've got their goals written down. It's only 5%, you know, you could be one of those.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. But the other two things I would say are write everything down. So I'm going to use up this last bit of my board, actually. This is good. So I would have a daily jobs to do list.
Okay.
All right. That's easy to do. Every day, have a little list of things you're going to do that day. I probably would write it the night before, actually. But if you want to write it in the morning, you can. And just think, what are the things I need to do today? And we've already said, make sure that there's something important on there as well as the urgent stuff. But if you have a jobs to do list, you'll get much more done. And it doesn't matter whether it's a piece of paper or an app or computer or written on your hand, even whatever. But just have half a dozen things written down that you're going to do today and cross them off as you go. You'll get a lot more done. You'll be a lot more focused. And how long will it take to do that every day? Maybe 2 minutes to write a jobs to do list. So that, I think, is key. And then the final call to action, the final thing I would say is to have a master list of everything that you've got to do. So this is not the same as your goals. This is just everything. So if you think I'm going to learn Spanish, put it on your master list. Now that's not a daily thing. You're not going to say I'm going to learn Spanish today, you know, are you? Only. So just put it on your master list. Or if you think, I really must repair that fence that's falling down over there, put it on your list. Or if a customer says, could you design me this? Then you say yes to the customer, put it on your list. So everything that you say yes to goes on this list. Everything that you promise and everything that you've decided you're going to do goes on this list. And it could be on a whiteboard, it could be on a piece of paper, it could be in an app, doesn't matter. As long as you've got it all in one place. And that then allows you to prioritize, because then you can look at, you can think, that's quite urgent, that's quite important, that one can wait, that one I'm going to delegate to somebody else. And you can, it's the raw material for all of your planning. And I've known people who've said, I haven't got time to do that. But it's only going to take you 10 minutes to write your big list, isn't it? And then you just add things when they come up. And I've known people who said, I wouldn't want a list. I'd be too depressed at the size of it. But you have to know the size of it.
Yeah.
And you already are worrying about the size of it anyway. Once you write it, it probably won't be as bad as you think.
Yeah.
And if it is really bad, at least you know. And at least you can do something about it. You can cross some out, go back and say no to some people or delegate more or something. But at least you know where you are. So your starting point must be a master list.
Yeah, and the best part is that now, instead of that massive, humongous list residing in your brain, you have offloaded it on your paper or whatever you are writing.
And then you can be creative. You can think about ways to deal with it. You can look at it. You can prioritize it. You're in control then. So write the master list, and then every day, some of the things from there can go onto your daily list.
Yeah.
But you need both those lists, and to have one list doesn't work. You have to have a master list and a daily list. And I would say those two things will have a huge effect. And obviously your goals kind of feed in a bit to those lists as well. So it sort of goes goals, master list, daily list. And if you do those three things, then time management will just happen. And it'll be easy. And really, none of those are complicated, are they? I mean, writing your goals down, that's not complicated. Writing a master list of everything once, that's not complicated. And then a daily list every day is not complicated.
Lovely.
So you can do it.
Lovely. Thank you. This is excellent. This is a great thing that people can start doing today. The idea is that offload it from your brain and put it on that paper. Chris, it was such a pleasure and an honor talking to you today. I have learned so much in this just past 1 hour. I feel it's like my one-on-one session with you. Thank you so much for the time that you have spent with me.
Can I mention a free thing that people can
have?
Oh,
absolutely. Yes.
Well, I just suddenly thought, I send out a tip of the month. Once a month, I send out a free email tip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So they can just add their email address to it. Free Management Tips Co. UK. We could put the link in, can't we? But it's just www. hyphens, free-management-tips.co.uk.
Okay.
Just put your email there and they'll arrive free forever and they never
Perfect.
repeat. And
Perfect.
most
I'll
of
put
them are
this
about
link in the
time
description.
management, but they're also about success or happiness and things like that. So they're all related to this subject. It's a fun thing people could do if they want.
Lovely. Lovely. I'll put this link in the description so that people can add and subscribe to your email newsletter.
Anybody who wants to add themselves, feel free, and they can have that forever. They can always cancel if they don't like them, but people very rarely do cancel because I put quite a lot of effort into writing them. So I hope everybody enjoys those.
Excellent.
And thank you for having me. It's been really a pleasure. Thank you. It's been fun.
It was a pleasure. Today I feel so happy because I've completed majority of my tasks from my to-do list, except just one task is remaining, and I think you can help me do that. The task says viewer should subscribe to the channel. So can you please subscribe to the channel right here so that I can check it off? Subscribe. Thank you.